What is going on, everybody? Thank you all for watching my video today. I got a lot of content jammed into this video, a big compilation. I talked to a lot of different NFL fans, a lot of different NFL fan bases about their thoughts on NFL free agency. I talked to some Eagles fans. We got a Commanders fan, Broncos, Saints, Steelers. We got it all for you in this video. Not all, just a few teams, but more than usual. So I think it's going to be pretty entertaining. Now, I wanted to lead this long video with some Packers, Jets, Aaron Rodgers talk. I had a few Jets fans I wanted to talk to. That's not going to happen because it's been a month and we still don't have the trade. So I guess I'll lead with my Packers thoughts here. The draft's coming up. I'm very excited for it. I think the Packers have a lot of positions they need to improve upon, but I also think they have the draft capital to do so. If they make this Aaron Rodgers trade, you clear up a lot of cap space, and maybe you can sign a few veterans on some short-term deals. But more importantly, you would get some draft compensation, whether it's the Jets' first-round pick or those 2 second-rounders they hold. Either one of those combos, I'm okay with. As long as the Packers bring in a little extra capital, then they're in a great position. To have 2 firsts or 1 first and 3 seconds would be huge. This Packers team, I think, tight end in round 1, I would be really happy with. Kincaid or Mayer, I really want. And then looking to the second round, I think if we get 3 second-round picks, I'm almost more leaning that I prefer that than the 2 first, because, I don't know, 3 picks rather than 4 is kind of where I tend to go. I think D-line is huge. O-line never hurts, maybe a guard, and then a third receiver in that second round. I think they would definitely consider taking someone, maybe more of a possession chain mover, because I think Christian Watson's our big play guy. I think he proved that last year, and he'll continue to do so even with Jordan Love instead of Rodgers. But I would prefer receiver for the Packers. Now, when it comes to the trade, I got nothing at this point. It sounds like it's kind of a disagreement of the draft picks, or maybe how much the Packers are going to take of Rodgers' salary cap hit versus how much the Jets are. Maybe a little mix of both. But, I mean, New York, like, they have to do this, because otherwise they're not they're ready made to contend for the playoffs. They just need a quarterback. Unless they're going to shift course and go get Lamar Jackson, there's no other quarterbacks left. They all got scooped up. Carr, Garoppolo, these guys were linked to them. Now they're with other teams. So they have to do this. Their only quarterbacks right now are Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, who, I don't know how he's still in the league. Former Packer, former Lion, never really showed anything. So they better make this trade happen. I think it's going to happen. I think we all know it's going to happen. It's just kind of when, because it's been such a drawn-out saga. So drawn out to the point where, I wanted to put these videos out talking about free agency. I kept holding off because I wanted to talk about the Rodgers trade in this video, but it's been a month, and I feel like all the guests I had on that are about to come up, I deserve to put their content out there, the time I spent talking with them. The people deserve to see what they had to say. So maybe we'll do a part 2 to this in the future. But for now, let's talk to Jim Hartnett and Sam Wallison about some Philadelphia Eagles. All right, some more NFL free agency reactions. We got 2 Eagles fans here, Jim Hartnett, Sam Wallison of the Daily Collegian, 2 Philadelphia Eagles fans. Boys, the talk after the Super Bowl was the Eagles got a lot of free agents. It's going to be hard to re-sign everybody. So far, you've seen a lot of guys go out the door. Darius Slay, maybe the most shocking of the moves, getting outright released. I guess we can start there. What were your thoughts just about he wasn't even traded, just outright cut? I thought a lot of people thought he was going to get traded, I feel like.
I just think that, he wasn't meant for what the Eagles are going to be doing in the future. And he's older, and yes, he is one of the best corners in the league for his age. But the price that he wants, the fully guaranteed contract over 3 seasons, is unrealistic. And as you can see, the Eagles couldn't trade him because no other team wants to do that and wants to match that. So, he's looking for a contract that's not out there. And as what it's worth, he's going to get less money because of it.
Yeah.
So.
And Sam, what's your thoughts on the Slay situation, but also James Bradberry? Instead, a lot of people thought Bradberry would be the one walking, but instead he comes back on a team-friendly deal. So at least you have one of those corners still intact.
Yeah, I was actually expecting it to go the opposite way, where we release Bradberry, keep Slay. But I'm pretty happy, honestly, with how it works out, because Bradberry is still a good corner, and I thought the deal was pretty pretty friendly to the team. But we have 2 first-round picks. There's really great corners in this draft, so long term, I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like with that 10th pick, a corner is really good. Whether it's Joey Porter from Penn State or Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, there's a lot of options. It seems like. And then some other people that lost or left rather. Javon Hargrave was the big one, getting a 4-year, $80 million deal from the 49ers. Now, I feel like there's no reason the Eagles should have paid that, especially with Jordan Davis waiting in the wings. But just to see him go to the Niners, did that kind of hurt you guys as fans?
You know, Joe, it didn't hurt me as much because Javon Hargrave was here for 3 seasons. I think it was 3 seasons. And, you know, he came from the Steelers. He exploded this season. And so he's kind of come on and, you know, earned this contract. But for what he's done for the Eagles, he definitely didn't deserve $80 million, and especially with half of it guaranteed. You know, we have Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, you know, Calais Campbell's a free agent now. There's options out there that, you know, the Eagles could solidify with veteran presence like they did with Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph last season, but, you know, more developed free agents like Calais Campbell.
The concept of some veterans maybe taking a discount to come play for this Eagles team to fill some of these holes. Also at the linebacker position, losing TJ and Kaiser. Do you think that's something we're going to see happen over the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I think especially like later in the free agency period, like we will see some of those older guys end up signing deals. But again, like those can also be filled during the draft, especially for like the D line, because you figure Jordan Davis starts in the middle, and then I'm totally for getting a younger guy to try and develop behind him as that number 2 D tackle. But like, you know, the pressure's less on him because he's playing behind Davis, maybe. Like I can see that happening.
Yeah, and I think Davis is going to be a monster.
Yeah,
so I'm excited
healthy,
to see.
like he just takes up space. You know, that's like the biggest thing.
Definitely.
You know, Jalen Carter is in some murky waters with the law right now, but if he ends up falling to 10, you know, matching him up with teammate Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis again, you could restructure that stronghold of that 2021 Georgia defense. My, oh my, man.
That would be something.
Holy.
One last question to end on. We've seen, you know, we mentioned the Niners making some moves. Dallas made a couple moves. Do you guys still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC going into next season?
No.
No, okay.
And I said this to Joel Haas.
Yeah.
If the Commanders end up getting Lamar Jackson, the Eagles will be the 4th best team in the NFC East next season. With all these players leaving and minimal acquisitions, you know, yes, Jason Kelsey's a big deal. Yes, James Bradbury is a big deal. But that's who we had last season. Yeah. And we lose all these players, and all these teams around us in the NFC East are building, you know.
Do you really think the Giants could be better than the Eagles right now?
I think right now, yes.
The Commanders are?
No.
He's saying if they get Lamar Jackson.
If they get Lamar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can see
that.
Yeah,
if they do.
So with Eric Bieniemy and possibly Lamar, the Eagles.
Really, I'm surprised.
Right now,
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Right now, they're the 3rd. They need to make some moves. Yep.
I would still put them ahead of even Dallas. What do you say?
Yeah, I would agree. I think so it's probably like the Eagles, Niners, Dallas probably competing in that top 3. Maybe I missed somebody, but
I don't think you are personally.
Yeah, I think it's like pretty much like the same group that you saw in the playoffs last year is probably going to be in there again.
Main 3, yeah.
So it kind of comes down to Hurts developing, honestly, like continuing to develop, I should say, because he was very good last year. But if he continues to take steps, you know, he enters that top 5 quarterback conversation. Like, I don't know, the team's just at a whole nother level at that point.
Yeah, interesting. I like that we have some disagreement here. Jim, I think the Eagles are going to prove you wrong. I think by the end of this offseason, you're going to be a lot more confident in their abilities.
You can't get let down.
Absolutely. All right, that's enough Eagles talk for this video, but thank you guys for joining me.
Yes, thank you, Joe.
Absolutely. All right, we're back here with Sam Wallison. Jim's not with us right now. He's not in the office. But, Sam, we talked about Darius Slay leaving, and then he just wound up re-signing on a 3-year, $42 million contract. So what's your thoughts on this? Just for the Eagles in offseason going forward?
I mean, well, it's a huge re-signing, obviously. Darius Slay's still really good, even as a veteran. He really baited us, though, us Eagles fans.
Yeah.
Like, we all thought he was gone, and now he's back. So, you know, a lot of emotions the last few days, but, you know, huge signing to get him back.
Yeah, and the one other thing about that, I mean, besides just having a great cornerback, it kind of, I feel like gives you more flexibility at number 10 now, because everyone's like, you have to draft the corner, but now you got the 2 great corners back, plus Maddox in the slot, so I feel like that's not a move the Eagles need to make at 10.
Yeah, I think it honestly is going to be a best player available. I think the QBs are going to go off the board very early, right? You probably get like 4 or 5 guys in the top 10. So at that point, some of those great defensive players and skill positions are going to slide. And if there's somebody really talented that falls to 10, you take them, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's still a free agent, but we'll have to see how that situation plays out. The only other thing I want to talk about the Eagles, they signed Marcus Mariota to be the backup quarterback, which is just really funny because going all the way back to Chip Kelly's days, he's trying to trade up to draft Marcus Mariota. What's your thoughts on replacing Minshew with Mariota as the backup quarterback?
I mean, I think it makes sense to have Mariota just because he's a similar style player as Hurts is. I thought he was pretty good with Atlanta last year, actually. I think as a backup, at least, he's a high-end backup for sure. So I think they're in pretty good hands if Hurts does get hurt, knock on wood. But, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree as Joe Haas, puts a smile on everyone's face. Sam, thank you for your time. I'm excited to see what the Eagles do this year. Looks like their offseason went a lot better than some fans thought initially.
Yep.
All right, sticking with our NFC East discussion here, we got Washington Commanders fan Joel Haas with me today. Joel, Commanders not quite as busy as some of these other NFC East teams, your rivals, but you made a few moves, you've lost a few guys. Commanders were on the brink of a playoff berth until late in the season last year when you lost to the Giants in that Sunday Night Football game. I was really upset about that. You know that.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on what's gone down so far for this Commanders team?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think we've had a great offseason. I think we downgrade at linebacker there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brissett is like a huge upgrade to the quarterback room. The offensive line, I guess you could argue, gets a little bit better. But I don't think they really did anything crazy there. I think we did better than Dallas, which is always a
I
win.
disagree with that. I like the Stephon Gilmore trade quite a bit, but what makes you say that?
Okay, never mind. But,
Well, what
know
I'd say about this though, what are your thoughts on the Bieniemy hire as offense coordinator? Because I think that's the biggest move you made.
That's the biggest pickup of the offseason for sure. Offensive play calling was definitely an issue before.
Was it Scott Turner?
It was Scott Turner, yeah. That was rough. They definitely struggled to score. I don't know. I think they should be able to put up some more points. I think Sam Howell's a gunslinger. I think he'll be good in that offense. Jacoby Brissett, I don't know. I haven't watched much of him too, but maybe he'll be able to thrive in the enemy offense. Maybe he'll break out. Who knows? But obviously, we all saw what happened with the Chiefs. The Chiefs' offense these past few years has been, arguably the best in the NFL. So hopefully he can bring that to Washington.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice hire. I think that you mentioned Sam Howell's ability to be a gunslinger. Do you anticipate him being the starter? Is that what you want? You want him to beat Brissett for that starting QB job? Because I really liked what Brissett did in Cleveland last year, but at the end of the day, Howell's a lot younger.
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole lot of Brissett, obviously. But I think Sam Howell has a higher upside. I think he can definitely take the team farther than Brissett could at his peak. So I'm hoping that he reaches that potential.
Yeah, and one last thing, Daron Payne re-signed, big money, 4 years, $80 million, I believe. That D-line, I think it's right up there with the Eagles. What do you have to say about that unit?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an elite unit. I do think they probably overpaid because I think Payne is now the highest paid player on the roster, which to me is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
To think about.
Because Allen's probably the better player.
Right. I would have preferred them put the money elsewhere, but you do like to have him back there for the defensive line.
For sure. So one last question: do you think the Commanders have what it takes to compete in the division for the playoffs next year? Or do you think it'll be another, 8 wins type season?
I think it's going to be a tough division. Obviously, the Eagles are going to be good. I think the Giants are getting better for next year. Cowboys probably getting better as well. So I think it'll be really tough, but I think we can compete, especially for a wild card spot.
I hope so too. Joel Haas, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Left hand up. Who are we?
I almost put my right hand up.
Who are we?
The Commanders.
Yeah! All right, we're talking more free agency. I'm here with Chris Reynolds, world-renowned New Orleans Saints fan. Chris, you addressed the quarterback position in free agency so far, bringing in Derek Carr. You re-signed Jameis to be the backup. You still have Taysom for whatever goofy stuff you want to do with him. That's not an insult. I mean, he can be effective at times. You also brought in Jamal Williams, one of my favorite players, on a 3-year contract. Great Packer. He was great with the Lions. So really the offense has seen some some reconstruction. So what's your thoughts on the Saints free agency so far? Obviously, they didn't have a lot of cap space to work with.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we had literally no money to use, so I don't know how we got Derek Carr, but I'll take it. I thought we were going to be stuck with an Andy Dalton situation, but happy that's over, and now he's in Carolina.
Yeah.
I love Jameis, so having him as a backup, I'm all for it. Jamal Williams, as you mentioned, I don't like Alvin Kamara because I don't think last year he did anything. I don't know what's going to happen with him legally,
Yeah.
So the fact that we got an actual running back is good. Carr is better than what we had, and yeah, I mean, that's really the main people that we got. We didn't really do a lot, but we don't have any room to work with. So the fact that we did what we did, and Michael Thomas back for 1 year at least, in the 2.5 games that he played, he looked great.
Yeah, he did.
The issue is he's only played 2.5 games over the last 3 seasons. So I don't know if he's going to be healthy, but if he's healthy, if Carr can actually play well, I think I actually have a chance to come out of the worst division in the NFL.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm a big Derek Carr guy, you know that. I just think that last year, the combination of a weird O-line, some injuries on that offense, and also some poor coaching at times from Josh McDaniels kind of limited Derek Carr. Now, with Dennis Allen, there might not be much improvement coaching-wise, but I do think at least, as long as everyone's healthy, I think the Saints have a better O-line as well. They also have more defensive support, obviously. So I do think Derek Carr's going to have a bounce-back year. You mentioned you expect them to have the best record in that division. I agree. What's your expectations for just the team as a whole? Do you think that it's going to be – do you think they're going to actually not only win the division but also be like a 10, 11-win team, or do you think it's kind of going to be like, they're just going to luck into winning the division?
I feel like normally, like most teams with this talent would win 10 or 11, but considering it's my team, they're going to go 9-8, and it's going to come down to the last week, and I'm going to watch them versus Carolina or something, and then Carolina's going to, scare me. I think 9-8's that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think Carr's amazing, but I don't think he's bad. I think we lost we had so much depth, but we just didn't have the quarterback the last 2 years. Now we're losing some pieces, but we have a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I think we just got really average. And I think average is going to definitely come out of an atrocious NFC South.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get destroyed in the first round, but I'm going to get my hopes up anyways.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the Saints will definitely win this division. I was holding out hope for the Panthers, but after that trade they made, I mean, maybe Bryce Young will be good, but he just has no weapons right now, and it doesn't seem like that's going to change at least anytime soon. So, and then Tampa, I don't really trust Baker Mayfield. We don't know anything about Kyle Trask. Atlanta's going nowhere. So I would agree. I think the Saints are the favorites. Defensively, you still have a lot of good players, even if some of them might be, have high cap holds. You still got one of the at least top half defenses.
So I feel like our major concern this year is our coach, as you mentioned, Dennis Allen. Last year he was dealt a terrible hand, but I don't think he, knows what he's doing anyway. So I don't know what he's doing. I'm hoping that we can come out of the worst division. That's my only hope, because I don't think our coach knows what we're doing. I don't think the team even knows what route they're going. They're kind of trying to win, but they don't have the pieces. Let's just hopefully be, a rookie QB with no weapons around him. That's our biggest competition.
Agreed. Well, I look forward to rooting for the Saints with you in the fall, because Derek Carr, Jamal Williams, those are two of my guys. You're going to love Jamal Williams. As I just told you before we start recording this, you're going to buy a Jamal Williams jersey by the end of the season. So, Chris, thank you for joining me. I hope to see the Saints make the playoffs next year. All right, some more NFL free agent content. The Denver Broncos were another very busy team this offseason. So, Broncos fan Andrew Buckman is joining me today to talk some of their moves. So, Andrew, the biggest move maybe came for Denver, not with players, but obviously at head coaching, making the trade for Sean Payton. So what were your thoughts initially on just trading a draft pick for Sean Payton? Was that something you wanted to see happen? Are you happy that he's going to be the new coach of the team?
I'm mostly happy. I think ultimately it'll come down to how the Broncos perform this year. Giving up a first-round pick for a coach is always like a bizarre thing, and so unheard of that you don't always know how to react to it. But I mean, it was probably coming for a long time. I think the Broncos were working on it for quite a while, is what a lot of reporters were saying. Ultimately, I mean, I've been critical of Sean Payton in the past, but mostly because I have a friend back home who's a very big Saints fan, and I just liked giving him crap.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think he's a very good coach, and I think the Broncos need a culture change from all the BS that they dealt with for the past 5
And how do you
years.
think like the Russell Wilson, Sean Payton dynamic might go? Because supposedly the rumor is that Russell Wilson might have wanted Sean Payton in Seattle when he wanted them to change regimes before he got traded.
I think it'll be good for Russell Wilson. I think maybe not necessarily by his own doing, but I think he's on this, or at least he came into Denver on this high horse, and he had his own personal coach, and he was treated like a
savior.
a savior, yeah. And I think that Sean Payton making him realize that he's a football player and it's a dirty game, and he has to play hard, and not that Russ doesn't play hard, but it's just getting him back in that football mentality and not like he's a superstar and a celebrity and stuff like that. I think that's going to be really key, and I think that their relationship's going to be really good because Sean Payton knows how to mold Hall of Fame level talents.
Yeah, he definitely
regardless
does.
of their size, into great quarterbacks.
For sure. So I'm excited to see that dynamic in that AFC West. So moving over to some of the free agent signings you guys made, you brought in some protection for Russell Wilson. You gave Mike McGlinchey a huge 5-year, $87 million deal. Also brought in Ben Powers on a 4-year deal. What are your thoughts on those signings, especially McGlinchey? Do you think that was worth the investment?
So I was actually, when it happened, I was talking to a 49ers fan.
Was it Andrew Dustin?
No, it wasn't
Okay.
Andrew Dustin.
Okay.
No, it was someone else that goes to Penn State. She was telling me that he has potential, and there's just something that's missing sometimes with him. But if he plays at what he can, like at his best, he could be a very good tackle. I mean, the money is always going to be the big thing, but I'm okay with it. If we can get 3 good years out of him and then 1 slightly average year,
Right.
then I'll be okay with it.
Okay.
I'm not that worried
Do
about
you
the 5th
expect
year.
him to stay at right tackle and Garrett to be left, or is there? might be a switch
Yeah.
there?
No,
Okay.
I think there's no reason to
Okay.
switch that.
Yeah, because Mike McGlinchey, he was I think he was a top 10 draft pick with the Niners, so they probably expected him to be like a franchise left
Yeah.
tackle, but then they wound up with Trent Williams, the best tackle in the league. So
Yeah.
he kind of went to right for
Yeah.
most of his career. So, yeah, that would be definitely interesting. And then just with the offense overall, do you think they're going to take a huge step, like kind of what we expected them to last year? Javonte will be back. Tim Patrick will be back. You brought in Samaje Perine. I like that signing as well. Do you think the offense is going to be able to maybe not be as good as the Chiefs or anything like that, but you think you can keep pace and get you on that playoff track?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. I think signing Latavius Murray is still like a big key.
He's
that
still out there.
We need to kind of fix, and like I think Sean Payton having those, or Latavius having those New Orleans ties
Right.
with Sean Payton is like a big thing for that, and the Broncos want him back. It's just a matter of money, and hopefully, I mean, I feel like the more time that goes by just means it's more likely that he'll sign with the Broncos, because maybe he's not getting as much interest as he thought he would, even though he was really awesome kind of out of nowhere when the
Yeah.
Broncos signed him. But I'm pretty confident. It seems like the Broncos aren't going to trade any of their wide receivers.
Yeah, what's the
which
deal
is
with the
exciting.
Judy trade rumors? I don't really understand that.
I don't know. I think they're mostly probably from before Sean Payton. And he shut down any rumors about that, and I think that wasn't the case for anyone in the Broncos front office until Sean Payton got there. And I think Sean Payton has a lot to say in the roster changes, which I think is a positive thing. But I think our offense will be good. I think it should be run heavy, especially when Javonte comes back. I mean, obviously we want to ease him back, but
Yeah, if you can re-sign Latavius, and I really like what Perine did last year too as kind of a third down guy. I mean, you can have you have a lot of different looks you can throw out of that backfield.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful. I think obviously the biggest key is Russell Wilson playing like Russell Wilson, and so I mean, if he doesn't do that, then it's not gonna be the same, because we're gonna be better no matter what. I think we're better, and
Yeah, there's no Nathaniel Hackett this year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be better regardless.
yeah,
It's really
that-
just about
that and,
playoffs.
That, and we're not gonna go through the same injury problems that we had last year.
You would pray.
We're
You
the
would
most injured team, I think, in the NFL. I think it was, I don't know, maybe us and the 49ers, like it has been the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But I think that alone will help us out a lot.
Yeah, and just the defense has been really good for a number of years now. It's probably going to be the same again. What are your thoughts on bringing in the Daily Collegians, Zach Allen? You lose Draymond Jones, who got a huge payday, but you bring Zach Allen in as well to pair with a bunch of other guys in the front seven who are really good. What are your expectations for the defense?
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, we needed it with Draymond Jones signing such a massive deal. I mean,
He's
Zach
top 10
Allen's
paid defensive tackle now.
Yeah. Zach Allen's deal isn't too much less, if I'm not mistaken, but I think that, I don't know, I think Draymond was very, very focused on leaving Denver, just from some of his tweets and how he kind of handled leaving and stuff like that. I love Draymond Jones.
You predicted his big breakout year.
I
fall.
did. And I will always appreciate what he did in Denver. But at the end of the day, he's an Ohio State guy, and that's how he acts when he leaves. So.
I guess so. Oh, and you re-signed Alex Singleton, who, as Eagles fans know, he went from one of the worst linebackers in the league to like a real difference maker.
Alex Singleton last year gave me gray hairs within the first 5 plays of the entire season. You could see he was the worst player on the field. And then by the end of the year, he was very good. He wasn't just one of those guys that was, getting tackles for tackle's sake. He was a ball hawk. He played really smart last year. And I think that Eagles fans were very critical of it, but I also think that's just their past trauma and their unwillingness to realize that players are going to get better at times. People get better in life.
That's the hope.
But yeah.
And just one last thing on that. What are your thoughts on the D coordinator change, Avero going to Carolina? But now you bring back Vic Fangio for a second run with the team.
You mean?
Vance Joseph. Vic Fangio went to
I wish
Miami.
it was Vic Fangio, but
Vance Joseph, my bad.
I love Vance Joseph as a defensive mind. I think there are some things that a lot of people are unhappy with, and I think Cardinals fans were critical of that, but I think it's hilarious that he's back in Denver.
It's kind of like the Steve Clifford thing with the Hornets, and he came back to the Hornets, but obviously Vance Joseph isn't the head coach.
Coming back as a defensive coordinator after being a head coach somewhere is so weird.
Yeah. Especially only 4 years later.
It's exciting because him coming with Zach Allen will be interesting because I think it'll be interesting. Zach Allen will be comfortable in that defense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the travel works for Zach Allen, where he's going to be in State College covering Penn State on Saturdays. He's got to get back to Denver on Sundays. It's going to be hard, but I think he's up to the task.
Yeah. Zach Allen is a marvel. He will do whatever he needs to do.
I completely agree. One last thing. What's the record prediction for? I know it's early, but what are you thinking?
I mean, to give you a real answer, I'd have to look at our schedule, but I think I've looked at it when it first dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I think my initial answer was 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stick with that.
Okay.
I think that's what I predicted before.
I think so.
Last
Yeah, when
season.
We did the episode.
The episode. But I'll stick with 10-7.
Okay.
I have some faith.
Gotcha. Can we get a Broncos country?
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Andrew Buckman. All right, we're back with more NFL offseason reactions. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they did some solid things. So I'm joined by Steelers fan Alex Osman to discuss it. Alex Osman, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. So I'm glad to get you as part of my NFL coverage here. So, Alex Osman, the Steelers offseason, what are your thoughts on it? I'd say the biggest move they might have made was replacing Cameron Sutton with Patrick Peterson at corner.
Yes.
They do have that 17th overall pick. We know Joey Porter Jr., son of former Steeler Joey Porter, Penn State's own Joey Porter Jr., could be in the draft. So maybe starting with the cornerback room, that's a position the Steelers need to improve. What's your thoughts on these moves?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would have liked to have kept Sutton. I liked Sutton. He was one of those players that Steelers fans were very bipolar on for over the past 2 seasons or so. He really did break out over the past couple of seasons. But I think it did get to a point where a lot of Steelers fans were overrating him a tiny bit.
Okay.
I don't think it was do or die to re-sign him. I know there's a lot of Steelers fans who thought it was. Now Patrick Peterson, he's not completely over the hill. So
he had a bounce back year last year, 5 interceptions.
Yeah. I think he'll be solid. Obviously nowhere near his prime, and he's obviously a stopgap. But I don't hate it. I do think with the moves we've made on the O-line, cornerback is a very realistic possibility now at 17 in the draft. But
is Joey Porter your number one guy you want, or is there anyone else you'd be looking at?
See, I like a good story. I like the familiar relationship. I'm one of those Steelers fans.
Yeah, well, you could talk about Kenny Pickett as well.
Oh yeah. But I would love to see Joey Porter Jr. in the black and yellow, the black and gold. Sorry, my apologies. The conservative side of me, the conservative football fan of me, wants to go line. Okay. I'm not as familiar with the offensive tackle, offensive whatever class in the draft, but I do really like the moves that they've made. Mm-hmm. But then again, we said that last year. Yeah. Where we had some solid moves on the offensive.
You brought in Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles, who had a good year last year, shaking off some injuries.
And then Raven Clark. Yeah. I think is the other guy's name.
He's a veteran.
Some solid stuff. Again, we don't have like that guy at this point. Yeah. Which is why I could really like the two biggest needs, at least in terms of like draft, like where to pick them. I think cornerback or offensive line in the first round, and then I think this is your opportunity since we've made some pretty good moves, and it completely revamped the inside linebacker position. Yeah. I really think like someone, again, maybe a little bias coming in, but someone like Servassier Dennis in like the 6th or 7th round as like a he's a pick guy. He's a pick guy. I like Servassier Dennis. I think he's undervalued right now. Okay. He had a good pro day. But someone like that, or I know my roommate, former collegian member Caleb Craig, is a really big fan of, I think Drew Sanders is his name, from Arkansas. Okay, I've heard that name. In inside linebacker, he's a lot higher rated than Voss.
That's why I know who he is.
Yeah. But I mean, I would like to see best cornerback available. I'd say is probably ideally how I'd go. Obviously, I'm always a little trepidatious about the Steelers drafting cornerbacks. Yeah. But with Omar Khan in now, we'll see. The con artist.
The con artist. Okay.
He's made some good moves. But yeah, coming into this free agency, I really was set on we need to get an inside linebacker high, but. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't love losing Miles Jack, but I think Holcomb and Roberts are pretty solid pickups, and I think that's kind of telegraphed. Yeah. Having that much dedication given to the inside linebacker position, I don't think they're going that early in the draft. And again, every single mock I've seen has been Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of just manifesting.
It reminds me of the Najee Harris pick a couple years ago, where it was like,
and Kenny Pickett even.
And Kenny Pickett, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of debate with Malik Willis, and obviously I was always on Team Kenny, but. It does remind me of that Najee Harris pick, where it was like, okay, it's the worst kept secret that the Steelers are going to take Najee Harris at 22 a couple years ago.
I guess it just comes down to like, what if Joey Porter just goes like 10th or 11th?
Yeah. I mean, there's still some solid. I could see the Steelers trading back.
Okay.
Because there's not that one glaring like we need the guy right now. Mm-hmm. At any particular position. I mean, it'd be nice to have the guy somewhere, but I could see trading back because we also have number 32.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So
shout out to the Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears and the Miami Dolphins for conspiring towards that. I think wide receiver is somewhere in the like 2nd to 4th round is necessary, just because one, the Steelers have a great track record of drafting receivers, and I mean obviously George Pickens, he's going to be great. I'm not all that high on Deontay Johnson generally.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
And I'm glad we got rid of Claypool, but I mean outside of wide receiver depth is an issue, and I know my best friend goes to Pitt. He really wants us to pick Jordan Addison at 32. I don't think he's fallen to 32.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But there might be someone. What's the Eli Flowers? Is he supposed to fall more? Someone like that. I don't know.
But it's somewhere within those rounds. I'd like to get a receiver.
I got you.
Well, yeah. I'm more optimistic about the Steelers than I think more national. Bird's eye view looks will be, because I'm a fan. I'm biased. I'm a believer in Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm. Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you about. So I know you're a huge Kenny Pickett defender and fan, but Matt Canada will be returning as the offensive coordinator. Are you a little concerned for him and also Najee's further development with him staying in town another year?
I still think Najee can have that bounce back. I don't think
I
that.
hope so.
His vision was an issue at the beginning of the year, but he did kind of come around on that, and it was definitely a tale of two seasons. Again, strength of schedule was wildly different in the two halves of the season for the Steelers, but it also players develop, and I do think Najee did show some flashes. Matt Canada.
Yes.
Obviously, as any Steelers fan will tell you, he's bad.
Yeah. He is.
And I think if this was any other organization, he would be gone by now. But the Steelers never fire coordinators; they let their contracts expire. That's a Steelers tradition, for better or for worse. That being said, we're stuck with Matt Canada for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure what his contract is. I think it's over at the end of this year. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I was big on the Matt Canada hiring when it happened. I was big on it because he was a creative guy in college, and you see that with what he tries to do. He has a lot of jet sweeps, end arounds, those kinds of things that he does.
He handed Claypool a ton of those.
Yes. And I think I'm trying to be optimistic here, and that maybe he can come around, look back, and keep that creativity, but maybe have some more aggressive play calling, and maybe that has to do with trusting Kenny more as he develops as a passer and as a leader. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the screen passes on 3rd and 15. I'm tired.
I'm
fair. Tired of it.
I think that's fair to say that the screen pass on 3rd and 15. That's a pretty good way to put it. Yeah. That kind of crystallizes the type of play caller he is. Well, Alex Osman, thank you for joining me today. Just one more thing. Do you think the Steelers team has any chance at the playoffs next year, especially in that competitive AFC?
I want to say yes. I really do. Because again, I'm much higher on Kenny Pickett than most people in the NFL sphere, in the world, if you will say. Because I remember there was a whole thing where a fellow collegiate staff member, Joel Haas, tried to tell me that Kenny Pickett would be the 3rd best quarterback on the Commanders, and that's just ridiculous.
That's a little absurd.
But
that man needs to be kept in check. He's a little over the moon about Sam Howell.
I mean, I do like Sam Howell. I liked him in college. I think Sam Howell's a solid quarterback, but at this particular point, Kenny Pickett is better and more proven.
Agreed.
But yeah, I don't think that. I think it will be a winning season.
Okay.
I think it.
Well, that's how it is with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course. Yeah. I think that streak will remain alive.
This is the thing. I'll just weigh in a little bit here. It's like this is going to be like year 3 or year 4 in a row where people are like, yeah, this is the year the Steelers will be under 500. They're not good enough to compete in the AFC, and every year they find a way.
It's like I never understand. I get that Tomlin hasn't done much in the playoffs in the past couple of years.
It's not a Super Bowl though.
Well, yeah, but a lot of the Tomlin detractors will be like, the Super Bowl was in his second year with Cowher's team. But you look at the numbers, you look at all that stuff, and again, this is a little off topic, but there's a lot of people, some people I know from back home who have been thinking that Tomlin should have been fired for the longest time because he could never win the playoffs. But I mean, it's not. You're spoiled, basically. Is what I'm trying to say. And I mean, I think that the Duck Hodges season is the biggest proof of why I think Mike Tomlin is still one of the best coaches in the league. I don't think there's going to be any noise in the playoffs or anything like that. But I think ceiling's a wild card, floor is a 500. Yeah. So I mean, I think you still need a couple of years to develop Kenny to really get your guys in those crucial positions, because all of our guys in inside linebacker, cornerback, offensive line, which is the second most important position on the offense. Those are all stopgap guys, free agency guys. And you need at some point to invest. and not just sign guys. Because we had such a spectacular offensive line for most of my life.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah. And so I would like to see some long-term investment sooner rather than later on those kinds of things. But right now, I think that, like I said, winning season, not going to make a ton of noise in the AFC, but another solid year and hopefully be competing in a couple of years.
Just keep building that Mike Tomlin culture, right?
Mike Tomlin culture, yeah.
All right.
That's
Well,
right.
Alex Osmond, thank you for sitting down and talking some Steelers with me. We'll have to see
course.
how they do this season, but like you said, it'll probably be a winning year. Thank you, Alex Osmond. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Phoebe. I'm back with Trust the Podcast. What is this for?
YouTube.
Hey guys, I'm back with YouTube. That doesn't flow. Like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here with Joe Duman, Joel Haas, Sarah Bellis. I'm not naming everybody. I don't know what we're talking about, but I think some things happened in sports today, which is like pretty typical because I feel like that happens like every day. But what are your thoughts on sports?
I think Phoebe Psychowski and the It's Not That Deep crew wish they could be as popular as Just the Podcast.
Okay, so this interview is ended because bullying is not allowed on YouTube. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't. Okay.